Yeah, guys, the recording has started. So now I am going to disable the chat section. So let me first create a folder called day 22. In our last class, we have discussed about file handling, right? So first we saw about raising our own errors. After that, we have discussed about local variables and global variables. And finally, we have discussed about file handling and we have seen why do we need file handling. So we have seen all those concepts in the last class. So now we are going to continue the concepts of file handling. And after that, we are going to discuss about the basics of object-oriented programming in Python. Okay, so first let me create a file here called as file append.py. Now we all know the syntax of how to open a file, how to write data into a file, how to close a file. We know all those details now. So now first, let me select the interpreter. Okay, fine. In our last class, we have seen that if you are opening a file in write mode means, then all the previous contents of that file are being deleted. So whenever I am trying to write anything into a file, then all the previous contents of those file are getting deleted. We have seen this in the last class. So if you want to add some data into a file, you don't want to delete the previous contents. You just want to add some extra data into a file. Then we have a new mode called as append mode. So first we are going to discuss about append mode. Okay. So A stands for append mode. It is used to add data in a file. Okay, now we know how to open a file. So first let me say file equal to open. Now my file name is demo.txt and I am going to open it in append mode now. So here this A stands for append mode. Okay. So now I am going to write some data into my file. Okay. File dot write. Is there a function called append? No, we don't have a function called append. We need to write file dot write. So I'm going to write some data as hello, welcome to day 22. Okay, after that I am going to close this file. So now if I run this program, so I am waiting for the output. So you can see here I haven't got anything on the output, but here you can see we got a new file. We got a new file called demo.txt. If I open this file, you can see here I am having some data here. Hello, welcome to day 22. So now we know that we are, so here this append mode will create a file if the file is not existing. So it will create a file if the file is not existing. Okay, this is the one more point which you should remember. Why? Because in the read mode, if you don't have file means we will get file not found error. Whereas in case of write mode and append mode, if the file is not present means automatically a new file will get created. Okay, so that's the point which you should remember. And the next thing is now we are going to add some extra data here. So initially I have added this line. After this, I am going to say this is append mode. Now, if I run this once again, you can see here this time I have commented line number 5, which means it will not get executed. Only line number 6 will get executed now. Now, if I open this demo.txt here, you can see here right after day 22, I got this data. This is append mode. So right after right after day 22, I got this data, which is this is append mode. Suppose if I add something extra like this is append mode, and welcome to OOP class. OOP stands for object-oriented programming, which we are going to discuss today. Okay. Now, if I run this and let me open this file once again, you can see here this time we got this welcome to OOP class right after my this is append mode sentence. Now, if you want this in a new line, what can you do? Now, if you want this in a new line, yes, it is simple. You just need to add this new line character. Okay. So let me comment out this. You just need to add this new line character before the beginning of your sentence. Now, if I say this will be in new line. Now, if I run this once again, now if I open demo.txt, you can see here I got output as this will be in new line in separate line. At line number 2, I got this line, which is this will be in new line. So if you want a new line, you need to add this new line character. We know about this backslash n, right? So suppose if I add extra data, this is another line. So if I run this program once again, and if I open demo.txt, you can say here I got this. I got this data of this is another line in line number 3. So like this, you can append some data into your file. All you have to do is you need to open file in append mode. Okay. So we use the same function again. We use this write function itself. Okay. So for writing the data in a file, we use write function only. But if you are opening a file in write mode, which is W mode, then all the previous contents of your file will be deleted. Suppose if you are opening your file in append mode means then your previous contents will not get deleted. Instead, all those contents will be added to the previous existing data. Right? So this was my previous existing data. This will be in new line was my previously existing data. Suppose if I open this file in append mode and if I try to write something, then I will get the content in the new line. If you want in new line means you need to specify this new line character. If you are not using this new line character means it will be added right next to the line. So right after, you can see here previously we got after day 20, after day 22, right after day 22 we got this is append mode. So similarly right after this is append mode we got this welcome to class. So if you want in a new line means you need to specify new line character, otherwise it will get added to the previous data directly. Okay, this is the thing about append mode. I hope you clearly understood the concept of append mode. Now apart from the, now we have discussed about read, write and append modes. Apart from this we have three other modes called as r plus, w plus and a plus. You know what is the difference here? So let me show. If I say file equal to open demo1.txt, have a look at the file name demo1.txt. Now I'm going to open it in a r mode, okay, read mode. Now if I say file, I will simply say file.close. I don't read, file.close. Okay. Now if I run this, you can see here I got an error, which is file not found error. I have told this already. So why am I getting this error? Why? Because demo1.txt is not present. So here the point which you should remember is if you are opening a file in read mode and suppose the file is not present means you will get a file not found error. So now there is another mode called as or plus. Okay. And also one more thing, let me open demo.txt itself. We have demo.txt here. And if I say file.read, of course, I am going to get the output. Okay, home, I am going to print file.read. Here run this, I will get the output. Hello, welcome to day 22. This is new line. I got all the contents of my file. Suppose if I say file.write hello, what will happen? You can see here I got error. You can see here the error is not writable. Why? Because we are opening a file in read mode. Suppose if you perform write operation here, we will get the error. So this is one more thing. Now if you are opening a file in r plus mode, suppose if the file is not existing, demo1.txt is not present in my folder. Now if I run this, you can see here again I got the error, which is no such file or directory, file not found error. Again I got that error. But here the point is if I say file.write, first let me open demo.txt itself. So file.write hello world, something like this. Now if I run this, you can see here I haven't got anything on the output screen. Let me delete this terminal and let me run this program once again. So I am waiting for the output. You can see I haven't got anything on the output. Now if I open demo.txt, you can see here. So here, hello world has come at the beginning. Let me delete all the content so that you won't get any kind of confusion. Now if I run this file, and if I open demo.txt, you can see here I got hello world on the output screen. So here the point is, if you want to perform read and write operation on an already created file, okay. So if you want to perform a read and write operation, then you can use r plus mode. So this is the point which you should remember. If you are opening in r mode means you cannot perform write operation. Suppose if you opening this file in r plus mode means, so the first thing is if the file is not present means you will get file not found error. If the file is already present means now you can read the data of that file and also you can perform write operation on that file. Okay. Now if I say file dot read and I need to print this, so print So here the point is I can perform both read and write operations. So if I say file.read, I am not getting anything on the output. By oh, yes. So here we are writing. No, first we are writing. So it will be somewhat like delay. So let me delete the contents of this file. And now, okay, now I am having some data inside my file. Okay. Now if I run this file.read, you can see here I got that output. So this is line one, this is line two. I got the same output. Okay. So I hope you understood this point here. So like this, we can perform both read and write operation on a file if we are opening the file in or plus mode. Okay, and the point is you don't have to get any kind of confusion here, and also it is not like it is mandatory to memorize all these things. Okay, if you are aware of read, write and append mode means, then it's fine. With the help of those three modes you can do almost all things. So here R plus mode is, so we can perform both read and write operations. Okay, similarly we have W plus mode. There also same thing only, we can perform both read and write operations. So file equal to open demo.txt in W plus mode. So file dot close. Now here I can write in my file dot write new file, and I can, now if I run this program, so there is nothing on my output screen, but if I open demo.txt, you can see here all my previous contents were deleted. So that's what this write mode do, right? So this, if we are opening a file in write mode means it will delete my previous contents and it will add the new data in my file. And also here I can perform file dot read. Okay. Now if I run this, okay, I need to perform this separately, I think. So actually, I'm not getting any error. If I perform file.read, I'm not getting any error, but at the same time, I'm not getting output also. So that's the thing about W plus mode. So you can perform file.read also. You will not get any, you will not get any kind of error. Okay. Suppose if it is in normal W mode and if I perform read operation, you can see here now it is in normal W mode and you are performing and we are performing read operation here at line number 23. I got an error. If it is in W plus mode and if I perform read operation, so don't confuse with output here. Now if I perform read operation, I haven't got any kind of error. So that's the point here. If it is in normal W mode means you cannot read. If it is in W plus mode means you will not get any error if you perform a read operation. Okay. So I hope you understood this. Similarly, we have append mode, append plus mode also. So this is append plus mode. Now if I run this, if I open demo.txt, you can see here I got new file two times here. Now if I add this new file in a new line, so let me give a new line character here. Now if I run this, you can see here, now this new file I got in separate line. Similarly, if I run this once again, I will get another new line here with the content new file. Okay, I hope you understood the concept of read, write, and append. In case of read mode, we are allowed to only read the data. In case of R plus mode, we can both read and write the data. Okay, now in W mode, we can only write the data, and in W plus mode, we can perform both read and write operations. In case of A mode, so if it is normal A mode means if I run this, so you can see here I got error. Why? Because I am reading the file. In normal A mode, you cannot perform read operation. In case of A plus mode, you can perform read operation also. But here the main point is while performing read operation, I'm not getting anything on the output screen. And also at the same time, I'm not getting error. So I also should check this once. I thought I will get output on the terminal, but I'm not getting any error. At the same time, I'm not getting any output also. So I need to check this once. Okay. So these are the things which you should remember. So I will quickly write all those things here. So R mode only read, W mode only write. Next we have a mode only append. Now, now we have R plus, W plus, and A plus. So here we can perform read and write, both read and write, both write and read, both append and read. Okay, these are the things which you should remember. So these are the modes available in our Python file handling. Okay, these are, and remember, these are WA. These three are important modes. We use mostly these three modes only. With the help of these three modes, you can perform almost all the operations. Some in some cases you may see someone using this R plus, W plus, and A plus. At that time, you should not get any kind of confusion. If there is a plus, means you can perform both read and write, both read and append. Okay, that's the point which you should remember. Okay, now we have discussed all the concepts of file handling, and there is one more thing. So someone asked me yesterday, like, how can I read only the second line? So here, let me give you some data. Like, I welcome to Python class, enjoy learning. Okay, this is the data I am having in demo.txt. All right. Now I am going to open this file in read mode. So file equal to open demo.txt in read mode. After that, file dot close. Now here, if I say print file dot read, of course I am going to get the entire output on my terminal. Okay, so we know this. Now there is a function called as seek. So this seek will move forward. It will move the pointer. So what is this pointer now? So I am using this term pointer here. So just for the sake of explaining, I am using this term pointer. So here pointer is nothing but, if you are reading a file, means initially the pointer will be it will be pointing towards the first character of your file. So it will be pointing H. Now if you read all the data from the H character to end of the file, you will get all the data. So like this, it will work automatically. Suppose if you say file dot seek 5. Okay, let me say 2 initially. Now if I read this, so let me run this once again. So you can see here I got only I here. So have a look at my terminal. In the file I am having hi. In the file I am having HII. But while performing read operation, I got only I. Why? Because I am saying f dot seek to. What this seek function do? It will move the pointer. As I am saying 2 here, it will move 2 indexes. So from H it will move to I. From this I it will move to the next I. Okay, now if I say, so for better explaining, I can use this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 11, 12. Okay, so 10, 11, it's enough. T for 10, E for 11. Okay, now if I say f dot seek 4, and if I run this once again, this time I got output from 5. Okay, initially my pointer will be pointing at 1 here. So 1 is my first character in the file. I am saying f dot seek 4. So it will seek 4 indexes. So from 1 it will go to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Now my pointer will be pointing 5. So as I say f dot seek 4, it will remove the first 4 characters. Now the pointer will be pointing from 5. So from 5 I will get the rest of the data. Okay, like this seek function works. So it will move the pointer. So let me quickly repeat once again how this seek function works. So we have a function called seek here. Initially, in file handling, our Python interpreter will be pointing at the first character of the file, first character of my data. Okay, if I say f dot seek some number, suppose 4, then it will seek to fourth character, which means it will delete the first 4 characters. Now my pointer will be pointing 5 here. Okay, this is why I got output as 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 T. After that, I got the rest of the data as it is. So here, the main thing which you should remember is, you can seek up to certain characters only. You cannot seek multiple lines. Okay, let me repeat once again. You cannot seek lines here. So now, if you are having doubt, like, I want to get only line number 2, means you cannot do that. Okay, you can seek up to some characters. That's what we have. With the help of seek function, we can do that. Yesterday also I told that we have a function called seek. But the point is I have stopped the recording, so that's why I haven't explained this topic. So there is nothing to get confusion here. So there is a function called seek, which will seek few characters in our file. Okay. Now, if you want to extract only the second line, means you need to call read line function 2 times. We know about read line function, right? Go check out the recorded video of yesterday. We have discussed about a function called read line. So if you call the read line function first time, means it will read the first line. Now, if you call the read line function second time, means it will point the second line. Now you will get second line as output. Okay. So let me comment out these two lines. If I say print file dot read line, if I run this, so initially, now this time, let me clear this terminal. And if I run this once again, you can see here I got only the first line now. If I run this read line function once again, I will get second line now. I got the second line, welcome to Python class. Okay. So if you want to extract a specific number of lines, means the only way is you need to call this read line function. If you want to move some characters, if you want to neglect some characters, means then you can use this seek function. It will basically move the pointer. If you are saying f dot seek of n, means it will neglect the first 10 characters. Now the pointer will be pointing n plus 1th character. So if we are seeking four characters, means first four characters will be neglected, and our pointer will be pointing fifth character. You will get output from the fifth character to the end. Okay. So like this, you can perform seek operation. So these are some of the important concepts regarding file handling in Python. Okay, we can perform read, write, and append operations. So if you have any kind of confusion with this R plus W plus means, don't worry. So basically, we use these three modes: read, write, and append. It will help us in most of the cases. Okay, so remember that read, write, and append mode. And after that, we have this extra function called as seek. Okay. So these are few important things regarding file handling in Python. So let me close this file now. And now we are going to discuss about object-oriented programming in Python. And I think you all are following me correctly. And there is one more thing which is important for me to explain. So before starting this object-oriented programming, I want to explain some important things regarding object-oriented programming. Okay, so this is an interesting concept. And till now, we have seen the basics of Python. And from now onwards, we are going to start object-oriented programming. If you are from Java background, then on the day one itself, they will teach object-oriented programming. Why? Because Java is a object-oriented programming language, whereas Python is, it is both functional and object-oriented programming language. So what is this functional programming language? So far we did functional programming only. We created functions, right? So that's what called as functional programming language. Okay. So you don't have to confuse about the term functional programming or procedural programming. So far what we did is functional programming and procedural programming only. So if you are creating functions, means that is called as functional programming language. If you are creating objects, means it is called as object oriented programming language. So now the first important thing is, why do we need object oriented programming language? Okay, before discussing that, let me ask you one question. So let me create here a new file called as oops.py. So it will be more meaningful if I say oop python. So let me rename this. Okay. So OOP stands for object oriented programming. Okay. OOP means object oriented programming. Now, I want all of you to listen to my words carefully, because I will try to explain this object-oriented programming in the simplest way. Okay, if you miss even 1 or 2 minutes, means then also you will get some of the confusion while understanding the rest of the concepts. Okay, listen to my words carefully. Concentrate for a few more minutes. We are going to discuss about object-oriented programming now. All right. So my first question is, why do we need programming? So why we need programming? What we do with the help of programming? We solve real world problems. So that's the answer. We solve real world problems. Okay. So remember this point. With the help of programming, we solve real world problems. Now, what is in the real world? In the real world, we have objects. What does that mean? So I am sitting on a chair. It is an object. So there is a fan in my room. It is an object. And I am using a laptop, which is again an object. And I am having phone in my hand. It is again an object. And there is a AC. It is again an object. I am sitting inside a home, which itself is an object. Okay. So if you think here, everything in this world is made up of objects. Okay, and I think you are getting my point here. So I'm saying that everything in this world is made up of object. Laptop is an object, bed is an object, chair is an object, our clothes are objects, our gadgets are objects, my earpods, they are also objects. So everything which I am looking at right now, they are all objects only. Okay, so let me write this important point here. Everything in this world, suppose if you have any issue with my audio clarity means, then you can raise a hand. So if you're raising hand means, then I will check that once. Okay, so everything in this world is made up of objects. Fine, everything in this world is made up of objects. Now then why we need object oriented programming? Of course, everything in the world is made up of objects, and we solve real world problems in the program with the help of programming languages. So that's why we need objects in the programming also. So I hope you understood why we need objects now. So this object oriented programming is not all about learning syntax. It is not about memorizing the syntax, remembering some of the definitions, answering in the interview, and writing some programs. It is not all about writing the program. Okay, you should change the way you look at the programming now. You should change the way you look at the world. Okay, now you should think in the object oriented programming way. Everything in this world is made up of objects, and with the help of programming we solve real world problems, which means we need objects in programming also. Okay, so we need objects in programming also. I hope you are getting my point till now. Okay, it is fine until now. Now there is one more important thing which we should understand. Now I am having a mobile which is OnePlus 9 5G. I am having OnePlus 9 5G. So this is not the only mobile OnePlus 9 5G. There are millions of units. There are lakhs of units in the market. Okay. So OnePlus produces lakhs of mobiles. Redmi produces lakhs of mobiles per year. Similarly, all other brands, they will they will manufacture lots of units, not only mobiles. So in case of chairs also, in case of laptops also, in case of fans also, air conditioners also, it is not the only one object available. There are lakhs of objects available throughout the world. Okay, now what you should observe here means, so they are all manufacturing lot of objects. How are they manufacturing? So they have a blueprint now. Okay, they are having a blueprint. Suppose if it is a car means, consider car. Car is also an object. Now they have a blueprint. Let us say Toyota, they have a blueprint. So depending upon the number of tires. So in a car, what we will have, we will generally have tires. We will have a steering. We will have a gearbox. In case of automatic car means, we don't have gear, of course. Here also we have reverse and forward, and we will have seats. We will have windshield. We have engine. In case of EVs means, we will have battery. Okay, so these are some of the common things which are available in all cars. Similarly, if a laptop means, it will have processor, it will have keyboard, it will have touchpad, it will have monitor. So these are the common things for all laptops. Okay, for all the laptops we will have a monitor, we will have a keyboard, we will have a hard disk, we will have a RAM, we will have a touchpad, we will have a motherboard. These things are common in all the laptops, which means they are following a specific blueprint. Okay, with the help of a specific blueprint, they are creating these objects. Now we can call this blueprint as a class. Objects are manufactured using blueprint. We know this point. Objects are manufactured using blueprint. We call that blueprint as class. Okay, so I hope you understood. Now we got the definition of classes and objects. Okay, now class is nothing but blueprint of a object. Okay, if interviewer is asking you what is meant by class, then you should say class is nothing but blueprint of a object. Now what is object? Object is a real world entity. Don't confuse with these terms here. Object, entity, they all are same only. Okay, so I am defining object, so I am saying it is a real world entity. Suppose if someone is asking me what is entity, I will say it is object. Okay, and also one more thing is, we know that object is a real world entity, and also we can say it as instance of class. Okay, So class is blueprint of a object and object is instance of a class. Okay, I hope you understood this point here. So everything in this world is made up of objects and all the objects have a specific blueprint. In programming, we call that blueprint as class. So class is nothing but blueprint of an object and object is nothing but it is a real world entity, or also we can call it as an instance of a class or else entity of a class. Okay. So each and every class may have multiple objects, even a million objects. We can have lakhs of objects and crores of objects, but we need a blueprint for that. In order to manufacture all those objects, we need a blueprint. So to that blueprint we gave a name called class. Okay, so it is called as class and object. So I hope you clearly understood the basic definitions of class and object in object oriented programming. So here, as the name itself suggests, object oriented programming, here we are going to create our own classes and own objects. Now let me tell you one more interesting thing. What if I say everything in Python is made up of classes and objects? What does that mean? So here, let me declare a variable called A. And if I print type of A, what will I get the output? Let me run this. So let me clear the terminal. And if I run this once again, you can see here I got class int as output. What is this class now? So basically my Python is saying that this variable A belongs to class integer. Okay. So everything in Python is made up of objects and classes only. So integer is a class. String, of course, it is a data type. Integer, strings, class, list, they are all data types only. Okay. But here the point is it is a class also. Of course, it is a data type. Data type is nothing but a general term. But internally, it is a class. String is a class. List is a class. Dictionary is a class. So all these days, we have been working with classes only. Okay. So I hope you are getting this point. So everything in Python is made up of object-oriented programming only. Okay, I hope you understood this point here. Now, now it's time to learn the syntax. Okay, now we know why do we need object-oriented programming. We know what is meant by object, what is class, and we have seen that everything in Python is made up of object-oriented programming only. So I hope you understood the concept here. Now let us discuss about syntax. Okay, so for defining a function, what we do, we use a keyword called def. Similarly, for if block, we use if. For loop, we use for. And in the same manner, for creating a class, we use the keyword called class. So this class is a keyword in Python programming language. And after this class keyword, of course, we are going to mention name of that class. So if you are creating a class means then we need a name for it, right? So while creating functions, we have seen that uh, we need a name for a function. We have given name to that function and we called that function with the help of that name. Okay, similarly here we need a name for the class also. So after class keyword we specify the name of class. Okay, and after this we use colon. So there is no parenthesis here. Okay, so we will get parenthesis while discussing about um, inheritance. So just to forget the concept now, forget the term inheritance. We will discuss this in the upcoming days. So here the point is, while creating a class, first you say class, after that the name of the class followed by parenthesis. So here basically there is no need of parenthesis if you want to create a class. Okay, I hope you understood the point. After that, like always, we give the indentation space. Okay, we will have indentation space and we will write some code. So if a specific line of code is having indentation space means that line of code will belong to my class. If it is not having indentation space means it will not belong to my class. Okay, so the concept is similar here, similar to functions. We will also create a class and inside the class we will have some code. Okay, what code we will have? We will have some attributes and methods. Now what is meant by attributes and methods? So attributes are nothing but variables, and what is meant by methods? So here we so far we have discussed about functions, right? We have seen what is meant by a function, what does it function do, how to create a function, how to call a function. We have discussed about various concepts regarding functions. Now those functions itself are called as methods in object oriented programming. Okay, if a function is present inside a class means we call it as a method. They both are exactly same. So if it is outside a class means we are not using the concept of object oriented programming, means we call it as a function. Suppose if a function is present inside a class means we call it as a method. So from now onwards, I am going to use the word method. Why? Because we are discussing about object oriented programming here, right? So I am going to use the term method here. So you should not get any kind of confusions. Now if you have any doubt like do we need to follow any new syntax for creating method means, no, we don't follow any kind of new syntax. The syntax will be exactly same. We say def function name parenthesis arguments colon below that code, that's it. Okay, we are going to create the functions in the same manner, but if that function is present inside a class means we call that function as a method. So these two terms are exactly same. Okay, method is equal to function. You should understand this double equal to means I'm basically saying it is equal to. Okay, this is the operator available in Python. Okay, I hope you are getting this. So method is nothing but function. In case of object oriented programming, we call function itself as method. Okay, now let us create our first class. So let me say class, and what example should I take? So let me say car. I am creating class of car, and inside this I am having a method which is show speed. So the name of my method is show speed. So method is nothing but function once again. But you should remember the term here. We call it as method inside classes. Okay. So here my method name is show speed. So which will take parameter as self and speed. Okay. Now what is this self? So forget this self. I will explain within few minutes. Now the job of this function is to print speed is speed, that's it. So I'm not doing anything here. I'm creating a class called car, and inside this car I'm having a method called show speed. Okay, the job of this show speed method is to display the speed. So from the while calling this show speed function, I am going to pass speed as an argument. So here I am having a parameter called speed, and while calling the show speed function or show speed method, I am going to pass the speed. So in the output I will get speed is some 240 kmph, something like that. Okay, so that's the job of my class here. So this is a first example and the basic example. We can do a lot of things here. Okay, now I want to call this show speed function. So how to call a function? We know this show speed of 100. Now my speed is 100. Let us say if I run this, you can see here I got error. Name show speed is not defined. Why am I getting this error? Why? Because of course we have a method called show speed, but we don't have this method outside a class. We have this method inside a class. So we know the concept of objects, right? If we are having a class means now we need to create object of this class. So that's the point here. You can directly call this for method here. First, you need to create object, and with the help of object, you can call this method. Okay, now how to create an object? So the syntax is again simple. So this is the syntax for creating a class. And now the syntax for declaring object. I can say creating object. Okay, first, we need an object name, which means here basically a variable name itself. So again, you need to follow those three basic rules which we are following while declaring variables. Okay, by following the same rules, give a name to your object. So the first thing is object name equal to class name and parenthesis. Okay, this is the syntax to create an object. After class name, you need to specify this parenthesis. Okay, remember this point. You need to specify this parenthesis here after class name. So like this, you can create an object. This is the syntax for creating an object. Now let us create our first object. We have successfully created our first class. Now it is time to create our first object. So here my object name is like Fortuner. This is my object name, and this object belongs to car class. Okay, car is my class name, and I am saying parenthesis here. I'm just following my syntax. Now I have successfully created a object called Fortuner. Okay, now I want to call this show speed method. So I can say car dot show speed. So car is my class name, and I am having a method called show speed inside it. So to call that, I need to say car, I mean class name dot my method name. So we have discussed about a lot of functions which are available in list, right? We know that list is a class now, and inside list we have lot of functions. So we call all those functions with the help of dot, function name, parenthesis, right? So we are going to follow the same syntax here also. List is a class. Similarly, car is also a class here. We have created our own class. So class name dot method name. Now parenthesis. Now this show speed is taking two parameters here. So first parameter is my object. Fortuner. First parameter is my object. Fortuner is my object. And second parameter is my speed. My speed is 150, something like this. Okay. Now if I run this, so let me clear the terminal. Of course, I am getting the output, but I need to clear the terminal. You can see here I got output as speed is 150. Yes, it is working perfectly. All right, it is fine. Okay, we have successfully created a class. We have created an object, and we have called the method called show speed. Okay, so now you understood the concept of self here, right? So basically we will pass a object. So while calling a method we will pass object, because here for each and every class we may have thousands and lakhs of objects. Each and every object will have different speed. Now each and every car, if I take etios, suppose the speed of etios is 100. Now if I say some other car like benz, the speed of benz is 200. If I say some other car like Thor, the speed of Thor is 170, something like that. They are all objects, and each and every object is having different speed. Now, if I call this show speed function, how will my Python interpreter know? How will it understand that I am calling for Fortuner? How will it understand that I am calling for Thor? How will it understand that I am calling for Benz? So for that, you need to pass object also. Okay. Now, if you are passing this object name, means this object will get stored inside your self variable. So you should use self only here. No other variable is allowed. So basically, this self is also like a keyword. And if you are using some code editors like PyCharm, when you create a class and if you try to create a function, automatically you will get the self keyword here. As I am now using VS Code here, I am not getting that suggestion. But this self is mandatory. If you are not passing any arguments also, means then also there should be at least one argument. There should be minimum one argument. And that argument is, that parameter is self. And this self refers to my object. Okay. I hope you are getting my point. So let me create one more object here quickly. Here, my name of object is star, and class name for dot show speed. Now I am going to pass star here, and the speed of star is 170. Okay, now if I run this, I got output two times. Speed is 150. Why? Because first I am calling show speed at line number 37 for Fortuner object, and at line number 40, again I am calling show speed function for Thor object. Now my speed is 170. You can see here I got speed is 170. So like this object-oriented programming works in Python. But in general, you can see here the syntax at line number 37 and 40. We won't use this syntax. We won't use this syntax to call a method. We have some other syntax. So in order to explain the role of the self keyword, I have explained with the help of this syntax. Now we will look at the actual syntax. Okay, you can use this also, but there is one more easy way of doing that, and that is object name dot function name. Now you don't have to pass object here. You can directly say 150, and you will get the actual desired output. You will get the exact output. You can see here on the terminal, I got output as speed is 150. What is happening here? So just concentrate for a few more minutes, you will understand. So here I am calling show speed function of Fortuner object. This time I am not using class name. I am using object name. Okay, remember this. Now I am using my object name dot my method name followed by parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis I am passing arguments. Now you can see here in the show speed function I am taking two parameters here, self and speed. While calling show speed function I am giving only one parameter. Why? Because in the background this is not happening on the foreground. This is not something which you can see. You cannot see this. Okay, you cannot see this. This is happening in the background by our Python interpreter. So as I am calling show speed method of Fortuner object, by default, this Fortuner will get assigned to this self variable, okay, to the self parameter. So by default, it will happen in the background. This time you don't have to pass object, you don't have to use class name. So directly with the help of object name, you can call a function and you can pass your argument here. You can pass your argument here. So like this, you can call a method from the class. You can use the object name. So just to explain the working of this self keyword, I have shown you this line number 37. So I have shown you this syntax, but we will use the syntax of line number 38 only. Okay, in the line number 38, what is happening in the background? So I am calling Fortuner, I am calling show speed method of Fortuner object, and I am passing speed here. Why? Because it is taking speed as a parameter. Okay. Now in the background, what is happening means our Python interpreter is by default assigning Fortuner object to the self keyword. It is happening automatically in the background. Okay, now you don't have to pass object separately in the argument section. Directly you can pass your required arguments like speed, color, etc. Okay, like this object oriented programming works in Python. We can create our own class, we can create our own objects, and we can call each and every method of that object. Now let me say tar.speed of, my function name is show speed of 170. Now if I run this once again, you can see here I got output as speed is 150, and again I got output as speed is 170. So I hope you are getting my point here. Now what is happening? As I am calling the show speed method of tar object, by default my Python interpreter is assigning tar to the self variable, and speed, and whatever speed I am passing here, it is getting assigned to this speed parameter. So like this I am getting my output. Okay, so understand what is happening with the help of line number 37 and line number 40. But how we actually use line number 38 and line number 41? So remember this: object name dot method name followed by parenthesis and arguments inside parenthesis. That's it. So let me comment out these two lines. And so far we did this. Let me create a list called LST. So let me say marks here. It will be more meaningful. And I am having some random marks here. Okay. All right. Now, if I say print type of marks, and if I run this, you can see here I got class list as output. Okay, now if I run this once again, you can see here I got class list as output, which means this list is a class in Python. Okay, this list is a class in Python, and this marks is a variable which is object of list class. Now, how can I access all the methods which are available in list class? With the help of marks dot method name. So what is a method which is available in list? So we have a method called append, right? So append is a method. If I say 40, 40 will get added at the end of my list. If I print marks once again, now if I run this, you can see here this time I got 40 at the end of my list. So basically this 40 is appending to my list with the help of append method. So this append is a method available in list class. Okay. Now what will happen if I say print type of Fortuner? We know that Fortuner is an object of class core. Now if I run this, you can see, let me comment out line number 47. Let me clear the terminal, and if I run this once again, you can see here I got class main.core. What is meant by main? Basically, this main refers to my current module. So we know that special variable underscore underscore name underscore underscore. If you print that, we will get output as main, which means we are currently working on this ooppython.py file. Okay, so the name of this ooppython.py file, inside this file is main. Okay. So that's why I got main.car. This car is a class which is present in main file. Main is nothing but my current file. Okay, that's the point here. So I got output as class main.car. So what you should remember here, this Fortuner is of type class car. It is made up of type class car. So this Fortuner is the object of class car. Now in VS Code, if you click control, and after that if you press control, and after that if you click on append, you will be open to a file. So you will get some new file here. You can see here we have class list at line number 696. We have class list, and at line number 703 we have append method. Okay, if I think I cannot expand this. Okay, fine, we have a append method. Okay, everything in Python is made up of classes and objects. So whenever I am creating, whenever I am assigning a list to my variable, now this variable will become object of class list. Now with the help of that object name, I can call all the methods available in that class. Okay, you can see here also in the append function, also in the append method also, we have this self parameter. So don't confuse with all these lines of code. I'm just showing you why, because everything in Python is made up of classes and objects, which means our class list is also a class, and inside list we have methods, and inside methods we have this self parameter. In all methods you can see we have this self parameter. So what is this self parameter doing? Now in this case, if I say marks dot append means my self parameter is referring to this marks object. Okay, this marks is the object of class list. And if I say marks dot append, now the self parameter which is present in append method, it is referring to my marks object. Okay, like this everything works in Python with the help of classes and objects. So we have discussed about basic definition of class, object, and methods. Like this you can create your own class, and you can create an object, and with the help of object you can call all the methods which are present inside that class. Okay, I hope you clearly understood the concept till now. Okay, I'm going to enable the chat section. If you have any doubts you can ask me regarding today's class only. Don't ask me questions like what is meant by abstraction, what is inheritance. I can understand that you already learned Java. If you have already learned Java means then only you will ask those kind of questions. So far I haven't explained about inheritance, abstraction, polymorphism. Just ignore it. We are going to see all those concepts tomorrow. Okay. Now I am asking you if you have any doubts in today's class. And if you clearly understood means just say as clear. Okay, only Pawan Kumar is saying understood. What about others? If you understood the concept means just say understood so that I will get some acknowledgement. Okay, Sujit is also saying clear. So what I did means, so today I have tried to explain the concept of classes and objects in programming. So I did as easy as I can. Okay, so I have compared the real world objects and I have made it programmatically work. Okay. So now if you don't have any doubts means you can leave the class. I think it's enough for today. So Vishnu, no, Vishnu. If you are opening a file in write mode means everything in all the data of that file will be deleted permanently. Okay, so you cannot retrieve that data. Once you are opening it in write mode means it will be deleted. Everything. It will delete all the previous data in write mode. Okay, so you should be careful while opening a file in write mode. So if Sujit, if you won't close a file means you will not get any error, but it is a general logic, right? So if you want to, as a person, if you want to read file means what you will do? First you will open a file, you will read the contents. After that you are closing that file, right? So similarly in programmatically also we will close that file. So it is a good practice to close the file. You will not get any error, but it is better to close the file. You should not open the resources like that. You should not keep those resources in the open. You should close them after using. Okay, now if you don't have any doubts, means you can leave the class. And a lot of students are asking about show speed function, and they are asking about classes and objects. Shall we create a class inside a class? Yes, we can create a class inside a class, but we generally don't get too much deep into that. Learn the concepts, learn the basics. Why? Because just now we started Python programming language. It's been more than 20 days. We have discussed all the basics, and now just now we are entering object oriented programming, right? So in Python, most of the cases no one will ask you questions regarding object oriented programming. If they're asking you means you should know how to answer them. Okay, so you should know how to answer them. So just ignore that R plus and W plus modes. They are basically useless. If you are opening a file in R plus mode means you can perform both read and write operations. Similarly, if you are opening a file in W plus mode means there also you can perform both read and write operations. Okay, if you are opening only in R mode means you cannot write. If you are opening only in W mode means you cannot read. Try that. If you open a file in W mode and perform read operation, you will get an error. But if you're opening in W plus mode means you can perform both read and write. That's the thing there. So Google Colab, it is completely different, right? In Google Colab, we work on Google Drive. So there you need to create a, it is completely different. Don't confuse these things with Google Colab. And I am using how many days? I will complete before Monday. We don't have a very long concepts like Java in Python here. We have only few concepts in Oops Python. Okay, they are also simple. We can easily complete them quickly. Okay, fine. Now I will explain this once again. So, what is object-oriented programming means? In simple terms, we can create our own classes and objects. Now, everything in this world is made up of objects. That's why we need objects in programming also. Okay. Now, here the point is, uh, like this you can create a class. So I have clearly explained with a lot of examples. Okay, if you still have any kind of confusion means, so let me tell you one more important thing here. So I have explained this thing repeatedly, which means while explaining itself I have repeated 2 to 3 times. Why? Because this is a live class. If you are watching a recorded video means, or if you are watching any video on the YouTube means, they will explain only once. So as this is live class, I have repeated the same thing 2 to 3 times. Now I can understand that some people may have confusion still. Why? Because it is like somewhat a confusing and difficult concept. I can understand. Even while learning this concept for the first time, I also had a lot of difficulties. Like I was unable to understand a lot of the concepts. So today only, I highly recommend you all to watch this recorded video once again from the beginning. So you don't have to watch from the beginning. Start from the object-oriented programming. Okay. So all of you watch this recorded video from the object-oriented programming. Why? Because then you will clearly understand and all those concepts will be memorized automatically. So if interviewer is asking you the definition of object and class means, you can explain them in your own words. You don't have to mug up any definitions here. Okay, that's why watch this video completely once again after completing this class. But as someone has asked about show speed function, I will explain about this. So basically, whatever the functions which are present inside classes, we call them as methods. So this show speed is a method now. Okay. Now, what this method is simply printing something. That's it. Inside this method, I am having a print statement. Apart from this, I am not having anything. I am not doing any complex calculations inside my method. I am just printing some data. Okay. Now, whenever I call this method, so of course it is a class, so I have created an object called Fortuner to the class car. Okay, now I am calling Fortuner dot show speed. What is happening here? We know how to call a function, and also I am calling this function for Fortuner object. I am not directly calling this function. I am calling this function for Fortuner object. Now how will my Python interpreter will know that I am calling only for Fortuner object? Why? Because we know that we can create multiple objects for a same class. We can create lakhs of objects of a same class which belong to a same class. Now here, my how will my Python interpreter will understand that I am calling this show speed method of Fortuner object. So here we have a parameter called self. So by default, all the methods which are present inside a class, they will have this one parameter. This one parameter is mandatory for all the methods. So whenever you create a method, it is mandatory to place the self parameter. Now what this self parameter is doing means, if I say Fortuner dot show speed, in the background, it is not happening in the foreground. In the background, my Python interpreter will assign this Fortuner object to the self parameter. Okay, this now my Python interpreter will understand that while executing this print function, I need to print speed. Whose speed I need to print? Do I need to print the speed of Tar, or do I need to print the speed of Fortuner? How will it know? As there is a parameter called self. Now if I say Fortuner dot show speed, now this Fortuner object will be stored inside the self parameter, and I am calling this show speed method. So here, how we call append method. So list name dot append method. So list name is basically object of my list class. Similarly, Fortuner is object of my car class. So if I say object name dot method name followed by parenthesis, and inside here I need to pass actual arguments. Here I am taking only speed, so I am passing only speed. That's it. If I pass 150 now, my Python interpreter will understand that. So this speed 150 belongs to Fortuner object. And also, so like this show speed works in Python. In the tomorrow's class, we will discuss about how to declare variables, how to store values inside variables. We are going to discuss about constructor. inheritance, and polymorphism. All these concepts we are going to discuss tomorrow. So today we have just seen the basic concept of object oriented programming. We have created a class, a method, and we have created an object, and with the help of that object name we have called that method. So these are the things which we discussed today. Tomorrow we are going to go deeply into this, and there you will get to know some of the, if some, in case if you are having any kind of confusion with today's class, means tomorrow you will understand all those things clearly. Okay, because tomorrow we are going to discuss deeply about this object oriented programming. Okay, these are classes and objects, and I highly recommend you all to watch this video once again. So as I am providing the recorded session also, it is better, it is a good chance for you people to watch this once again. Okay, then only you can easily understand this concept and you can remember this concept forever. Okay, I think I have quickly revised all the concepts which I have discussed today. And don't get any kind of confusions. Watch the recorded video once again. And someone asked about the project, right? Okay, Kavya, after completing object oriented programming, we are going to do a simple project also. Don't worry. So if it is not, I will take a class on Tuesday also. Okay, I'm not having any issues with that. If you are interested, means I can take class on Wednesday also. We can continue these classes. All right. Okay, fine. Thank you for joining today's class. And I think you have learned something important today. Okay. Watch the recorded video once again. Have a great night. See you all tomorrow. Take care. Bye.